this is Shweta from Dharamshala Animal Rescue.
Hi everyone, this is Amy with Primates Incorporated and ReelTime Animal Rescue.
Hello everyone, this is Becky at Blue for the Horse-Linkshire Misfit Mustangs.
ReelTime Animal Rescue with Julie McLaughlin of Indiana Skunk Rescue.
Yep, get her. You got her? Judy, God bless you. Oh my God.
This is a big brown bat who is really enjoying his mealworms.
They actually just had their breakfast.
Hello and welcome. I'm Krista Embry, founder of ReelTime Animal Rescue and Compassion Education Connect and Inspire. What you're about to see today is happening right now in the real world, and you're going to meet people who are helping animals and protecting our planet. When you learn with compassion, you don't just gain knowledge, you create change. So today isn't just about watching, it's about you and the difference you can make in our world. Welcome to Compassion Education Connect and Inspire. We're so glad you're here.
Well, welcome to Compassion Education. My name is, well, before I actually tell you what my name is, I know that some of you can read it. I'm going to share my screen and explain something about my name that may help you a bit. Okay. All righty. Give me just a few more seconds and we'll be there. Okay. Can you see this beautiful Kansas landscape? Okay, so my name is Mr. Ofsthun, but I realize maybe the 21 students in California are okay with this because your teacher has a very complicated last name too, but I know that my last name is very hard to say, so I'm absolutely fine if you simply refer to me as Mr. O. So this is wildlife biology with Mr. O. So I am a wildlife biologist. I come from Kansas. And in Kansas, I worked as a wildlife biologist doing many things. But the main thing I did as a wildlife biologist is I looked for animals. And you would be shocked at how much of my time I looked at nothing. I was just searching for the animals. So I spent lots of time looking for wildlife. So here I am on my truck looking through my binoculars for something. I also didn't just look for animals. But in order to understand animals, you also have to understand their habitats. So here I am assessing a tall grass prairie and investigating to see what kind of animals would be suitable to live here. But as a wildlife biologist, you spend so much time outside, you can't control when you need to be looking for animals or doing your work. So here I am looking for birds in very, very cold weather. And sometimes mistakes happen. And we spend our time not looking for animals, but pushing cars out of snowdrifts. But I also did some things you might not expect. I would prepare taxidermy. So we would take animals that had already died, and we would preserve them so that even though the animal wasn't alive, we could still see their form and how they look, so we could still learn about them and appreciate them. So here I am painting the bill of a whooper swan. A very strange thing to do as a wildlife biologist, maybe. I also loved taking children, classrooms like yourself, out and observing wildlife, observing nature. So I did that a lot outside, but I would also take animals that I had, like this red-shouldered hawk. I would take them to schools. And so this is my red-shouldered hawk, Rufus. He was an injured animal that had his wing broken by a wild turkey. That's a story for another time. But here I am. I brought him to a school assembly, and the kids got to see up close a red-shouldered hawk that otherwise would be quite difficult to see in the wild. But I would also take animals and have them very up close, because often in our learning about animals, we get a lot of benefit sometimes if we safely and properly get very close to them. And even like these little boys on the front row, they were about to touch this prairie king snake. So that was another thing I would do as a wildlife biologist. But really, my favorite thing to do was to take kids into the wild or into their classroom and just teach them and inspire them about the things that I love. Okay, so these are all things that I did as a wildlife biologist, but I actually told you I was from Kansas, which is true, but I'm actually not there in Kansas right now as we speak. This is the globe. I believe you're all down here in Southern California. Kansas is right over here in the middle of the United States. But I'm just going to show you, I'm going to scroll across the globe, and we're going to go past the United States, past North America, past the Atlantic Ocean into Europe. And I'm going to be zooming in right now. So let's zoom in. And where I am calling from right now is actually the United Kingdom. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit further and show you what part of the United Kingdom. So this part right up here that I'm circling around, this is London, the biggest city in Europe. And that's where I live currently. That's where my family lives. And that's where I'm calling you from right now. But let's get to the main point of our presentation, which is animals. So I understand from your teacher, Miss Kim, that you in California, you have been learning about the different groups of animals that include fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. So I was so happy when I heard that your class was studying these things, because this is one of my favorite things to study and learn about as a wildlife biologist. And I learned about this like you were when I was in first grade and second grade and fifth grade and 10th grade. I went to university and I kept studying about these things. And this is just what I really love to learn and study about. So you probably already know most of what I'm going to share with you in the next few minutes. But these 5 groups of animals are all connected by one feature, even though they can look extremely different from one another and have very many different forms and functions, but they're all connected by one feature that makes them a group of animals called vertebrates. That's a very long word. If you haven't already said this word before, why don't you, as a class, whoever's joining us, say this word, vertebrates. So vertebrates are a unique group of animals. And if you look at this picture in the background, you can see a whole wide variety of vertebrates. There's some fish, there's some amphibians, some reptiles, some birds, some mammals. And if you look at this screen, you can see a few that pop out. Like, I don't know if you can see the yellow fish and the yellow bird. If you can see these, you can look at them and be like, well, they're the same color. But does that yellow bird look anything really like the yellow fish? You know, I don't think so, like you. And you can see another one. Maybe you can see the red ones. There's a red cardinal, which is a bird. And there's also a red parrot, a macaw. But they're both red and they're both birds, but they're vastly different from one another. So why do we group all of these 5 groups into one group called vertebrates? Well, to answer this, I'm going to tell you it's a secret. It's a top secret that I have locked in this chest right here. But I think you all have been learning about this. So is it okay if I open up this chest with you and we can uncover this top secret? Alrighty. Okay. Excellent. So we have permission. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can crack this box open. Let's see. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. So here we go. In my top secret box, I have 5 skeletons. Now these 5 skeletons, I think we'll all agree, they all look quite different from one another. And they're all labeled with numbers instead of words. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to tell you that these are mammals, birds, amphibians, reptiles, and fish. But what do you think? You, as a class, you can just say it. What do you think specimen number 1 is? Do you think it's a fish? Do you think it's an amphibian? No. Do you think it's a bird? I don't think so. Who thinks it's a mammal? You know, this is probably a mammal. You don't even have to know which kind of mammal. You know it's a mammal because it looks like a mammal. Something about it tells us it's a mammal. And 2, specimen number 2 is a certain kind of vertebrate called a bird. And 3 is an amphibian. 4 is a lizard, a reptile. And number 5 is a fish. But they all look still so different from one another. So what's this top secret I was telling you about? So give me a minute. I'm just going to expose these bones to a little bit of red light and see if I can dye them. Aha, it worked. Okay. So I put some red coloring on the part of these skeletons that makes them all grouped together. So what I've highlighted in red, this is the vertebrae, or we also call it the backbone that runs from the head all the way to the tail. So wherever you are, whether you're in first grade or whether you're an adult, I want you all to take one hand and just reach behind you to your neck and just kind of rub it until you feel something kind of bony or something bumpy poking out. And that, if you can feel that, that is one of your vertebrae. That means that you also have a backbone. And it's that backbone, that central part of the skeleton that goes from the tip of the head all the way to the tail, that is the vertebrae. And that is what makes all of these animals connected and put into the same group. Even though they're very different, they all have one feature called a vertebrae. Okay, so we have 5 groups of vertebrates. Oops. Oh, the shark just pushed my box away. Okay, I guess we have to do something else now. Let's see. Okay, so maybe we can spend a little bit of time to consider the number of vertebrates by group. So we're going to do a little bit of math. I'm not sure if you guys knew you were going to do a little bit of math today during a wildlife biology session about animals. But what we're going to do is I have this legend that has these 5 symbols, and each symbol represents 1,000 of that group of animals. So if you see a tiger, that represents 1,000 mammal species. If you see a frog, 1,000 amphibians. A spoonbill, that's that white bird, that means 1,000 bird species. The sea turtle, 1,000 reptiles, and the sailfish, 1,000 fish. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with which group? Oh, we're going to start with mammals. And I want you as a class to count with me by 1,000 how many different species of mammals exist in the world. So we're going to get started and we're going to count until we see the blue box appear. So let's get started. Ready, set, go. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, and okay, so 6,000 mammal species. Can you believe that in this world there are approximately 6,000 mammal species? That is a lot of different kinds of mammals. Okay, let's go to the next group. What is it? Okay, oh, amphibians. So let's find out if there are more or less amphibian species in the world. Count with me. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000. Oh, there we go. 9,000. In the world, there are approximately 9,000 different kinds of amphibians. I mean, those numbers are huge. 9,000 different kinds. Okay, let's go to the next group. What have we got? Birds. Okay, now I wonder if you think there's more or less birds than amphibians. Let's take a look. Okay, count with me. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. Wow, 10,000 different bird species in the world. That's even more than amphibians and mammals. Okay, let's look at reptiles. Okay, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, and wow, there are 12,000 different kinds of reptile species in the world. That's even more than birds. We're on our last group, which is going to be the, if I can get to it. Okay, it's going to be the fish. So I wonder if there's more or less than 12,000 fish species in the world. So go ahead, count with me. Get ready. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. Oh my, it keeps going up. It keeps going up. Keep counting, keep counting, keep counting. What number is that? I don't know if you counted that all, but that was 33,000 species of fish in the whole world. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. And consider how many vertebrates there are altogether in the world. So 6,000 mammals, that's what we had discovered, plus, let's see, plus the 9,000 amphibians. Let's do that real quick. What is 6,000 plus 9,000? You can real quickly do it by dropping the zeros. Add 6 plus 9. What is 6 plus 9? I'm sure you all know it. That's 15. So that would be 15,000 mammals and amphibians. So now let's add on the birds. So that's 10,000. So 15 plus 10. I'm sure you all know this, and you can shout it out in your classroom. This is 25,000 species of mammals, amphibians, and birds. Now we can add on the reptiles, where numbers are getting a little bit bigger. So 25 plus 12 is, I'm sure you all know this, 37,000 species of vertebrates. But if we add on the biggest group, fish, that's 37,000 plus 33,000. I'll give you a few seconds to figure out what that is. 37 plus 33. That is a total of 70,000 vertebrates in the world. 70,000 vertebrates. So there's 5 groups, 5 main groups that you've been learning about. But within those 5 groups, 70,000 approximately species in the world. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and shift gears for a second. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, all righty. So I've been showing you a few pictures, but what I've got behind me on my shelf is I've got a treasure box. And this one is not quite as top secret as the last one. So I'm going to open it up and I'm going to share with you a few examples of vertebrates. So, okay, here's my box. Oh my goodness, you should see what's in this box. It's incredible. Oh wait, you can't see it, can you? Oh, okay, well, they're incredible, so I better share it with you. Let me go ahead and give you access to see what I'm looking at, which is, it's pretty amazing. Okay, here we go. Okay, so in my amazing treasure box, I'm looking at all these things, and the first one I'm going to show you, here it comes. Here it comes. Okay, here it comes. Aha. Okay, I'm going to focus in on it for a second. Let's see if we can zoom in. There we go. Okay, so you don't have to unmute yourselves, but I wonder if all of you already know what this is. And if so, you can shout it out within your classroom. But if you said bald eagle, that would be the wrong answer, because actually it's a fish, right? See, there's a fish. Oh, but if you're talking about the bird itself, actually it still wouldn't be correct, because this isn't a bald eagle. This is an African fishing eagle. And so an African fishing eagle is found, which continent do you think on? That's right, it's Africa. And what do you think African fishing eagles really love to eat? It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So right here we have a vertebrate that is eating a different group of vertebrates, but it's not the only eagle that loves to do that, because actually another kind of eagle, here we come, ta-da, another kind of eagle, which you might be very familiar with as an American, the bald eagle, is also a fishing eagle. It also has a white head and a brownish body, but it lives in completely different areas. And the African fishing eagle has more white on it than the bald eagle. So an incredible similarity and difference at the same time between two eagles that eat fish. Okay, let's look to see what else we've got in our treasure box. Let's see. Ooh, I found another fish-eating animal. That's a vertebrate. So let's see if we can see this one. Here we come. Dang, lands. There he goes. Aha. So this right here, this is another bird that eats fish, but it looks nothing like an eagle. This is a pelican. And pelicans that love to eat fish, they have the largest beaks of all the birds. They're massive beaks. So if you were to hold out your arm, if you all hold your arm out in front of you, that would be approximately how long the beak, just the mouthpiece of a pelican is. But pelicans, like all birds, don't have any teeth. So in order to eat their favorite diet of fish, they have to swallow the fish into this pouch right here. Let me show you. Let's see. Here's another guy. He's going to help us to see that. Aha, here it is. You see this pelican opening up his mouth? So they use this mouth kind of like a shovel or a scoop or even a bucket, and they put the fish in there, and eventually they swallow it whole without ever chewing the fish. I think that's pretty incredible. Okay, next we're going to look at, let's see what else we've got here. Oh my goodness, there's so many amazing things. Aha, how about this one? This is one of the fastest land vertebrates in the world. So you can all shout out in your classroom what you think it might be. And I'm going to start over here on this side and show you how fast this land animal is. Now, I'll bet you didn't guess this bird as one of the fastest land vertebrates, but this is actually one of the fastest. This is a cassowary. Pretty cool, isn't that? Now, this cassowary is a bird, but it can't fly. It doesn't have any ability to fly because it's way too heavy, but it's super fast on its 2 legs. Okay, so he's going to zoom out this way. Now let's real quickly look at something from a different group. How about this one right here? How about this one right here? Now this one, aha, here it comes. What is this guy right here? Now, I wonder if some of you thought it was a crocodile, and you wouldn't be super far away from the truth, but this is actually not a crocodile. This is an alligator. This is an American alligator. And one way you can tell an American alligator from a crocodile is if you close his mouth up, you can't actually see any of his bottom teeth when he closes his mouth. You can only see the teeth poking up from the top of his jaw, which is really cool. But crocodiles and alligators alike, they're not birds. They're not covered with feathers. They're covered with scales. And that is something that makes them a reptile like this guy right here. Like this guy right here. What's this? Oh, this is a sea turtle. So sea turtles are also reptiles because they're also covered with scales, but they have an additional part of this hard shell on top of their body, which is made of bony material. Okay, let's look at some other things. Let's see. Here's something. I wonder what you think this is. Okay, now this might look like a reptile, maybe like a lizard or something, but actually, even though this is not a real one, a live one, he wouldn't be covered with scales like a reptile. He's covered with skin. He doesn't have any scales, and so this makes him an amphibian. This is a kind of salamander. This is a kind of amphibian like this guy right here. Boop, 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 boop. This is a poison arrow frog from the Amazon rainforest, and they're in the same group of vertebrates because they both don't have those scales or feathers, but instead they're covered with kind of a moist skin. And so amphibians really depend on water to keep themselves alive. So these guys are going to hop away to try to find some water, and he's going to scurry away. He doesn't hop quite as well. And let's see, our last group, what are we missing? Oh, I know what we're missing. We're missing the thing that is covered with hair, like this guy right here. So this is a giant anteater, which is an example of a mammal. And this guy, you can especially see it on his tail. He's just covered in fur, or he's covered in hair. And so this is what makes him a mammal. Although there are some mammals, like this guy right here, who don't show very much hair. But this armadillo is still a mammal, even though you can barely see any hair or fur on him. Okay, really cool treasure box. Okay, but I was wondering, I'm not sure if you want to, but I was wondering, just as a question, I was wondering if you would all want to see maybe a real animal. Would anyone like to see a real animal? Yes, okay, let's go look at a real animal. So give me just a few seconds. I have to get out my thing, which is a towel. So I hope you're not disappointed, but I have to start off with a towel because when I get my real animal out, because it is very real, this animal does something that all animals do, and actually even you do. It poos. This is what animals do. And so because I'm indoors and I'm going to show you an animal, I'm going to cover myself and the table to make sure that if it does poo, which they do when they get excited, when they get nervous, sometimes when they're happy, sometimes when they're sad, they poo. So if it happens, it happens, but I'll try to protect myself, and give me about 10 seconds to go fetch a live animal to show you all. Okay, he's somewhere over here. Let's see if we can get a hold of him. Okay. All righty. Okay, here we go. All righty. And here we are. So this right here, okay, he is super excited today. This is a duck. This is a vertebrate. Actually, I can feel his vertebrate right now. My thumb is holding onto his back, and I can actually feel his backbone. So I know he's a vertebrate. This is a duck named Mr. Appleyard. He is a domestic barnyard duck, but when you raise a pet, or if you're looking at animals in the wild, it really makes a difference if we know something about them, if we understand their biology, understand if they're a vertebrate or not a vertebrate. And so this is a duck, and I know that ducks have a certain feature on their feet, which I'm going to show you real quick. Their feet are webbed. Can you see the webs, the skin that is right between their toes? And that skin helps them to paddle through the water because it acts like a flipper. And so because of that, I know that ducks really, really like water. So I have a duck as a pet. Actually, I have a lot of ducks as a pet. And I know that ducks, in order for them to be happy and to be well cared for, they need water. So he has a pond outside that he lives with, that he lives in. He actually spends almost probably about 95% of his time just sitting on the water. I also know that ducks are covered in feathers because they're birds. And actually, because of that, even though this guy, Mr. Appleyard, he's actually a very friendly duck, all things considered, but ducks, like most birds, actually would prefer really not to be touched. They don't like to be handled so much, even though I'm handling Mr. Appleyard because he's used to it, but because their feathers are super important to them, because their feathers keep them safe, it keeps them hot or cold, it keeps them insulated, and so they spend hours every single day combing or adjusting every single feather with his bill, which you can see, which is nice and yellow. And so when I'm touching his feathers, I'm actually kind of messing it up and undoing all the work he's done all day. So I'm going to go ahead and put Mr. Appleyard back in his little box before I send him back to his actual place where he lives with his pond. But you can all say goodbye to Mr. Appleyard. All righty. Okay. And I do have another visitor for you. It's another vertebrate. So I am going to quickly, I'm going to turn off my camera and I'm going to turn on another camera. And all of you watching, you may need to pin a different screen. I don't know if I can do that for you right now. You may need to pin the other screen that's going to appear. That's going to show another vertebrate animal visitor. Can you see Daisy? Yeah. Okay. As long as we can see Daisy. All righty. So Daisy is a very happy puppy. And once again, she's a pet. And in order to take care properly of a pet, it's so helpful to know something about them. So even though she is a pet and she's a domestic animal, she is derived from the wild wolf. And this is really helpful to know because wolves are meat eaters. And so when we feed a dog, who left the screen, when we feed a dog, it's important that we feed them the right thing. So I'm feeding her little chicken treat snacks. It's their meat snacks. But also, wolves in the wild are pack animals. They live in groups. And so Daisy is the only dog we have in this house. And so she still has a need for living in a pack, in a group. Daisy, show me your face. There we go. And so actually her pack is us. We are her pack. We are the ones that she considers to be her family, her group. We help her live. She helps us live, I guess. And so it's really helpful when we have animals that we know something about them. So I hope all of you, if you have pets at home, or if you just see animals in the wild or at a farm, that you learn about them so that you can have a better understanding of those animals. Okay. So Daisy's had quite enough excitement. It's actually quite late here, so I'm going to see if she's going to obey me and say, Daisy, crate. Go to your crate. And she's actually obeying me. I'm actually shocked about that. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and switch screens again. Oh, she didn't obey me all the way. Okay, Daisy, all the way. Crate. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and switch screens again. And I'm going to come back here. Okay. Alrighty. Well, I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to ask Miss Kim if you've got any time on your side for any questions, or if we're out of time.
We have 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay. If you can give me about 10 seconds before I answer you, my dog is still out. I'm going to put her up real quick. Daisy. Okay. Part of having animals is knowing how to take care of them properly. Okay, Miss Kim, do you have any questions from your side from any of your kids?
Yeah, give me one.
Okay.
Shua, go. Josh, what's your question? Camille, what's your question? They all have questions they can't remember.
That often happens.
Gary,
How do the others fly?
how do what?
How do ducks fly?
How do ducks fly?
Wow, that's a big question. Ducks fly because they have wings, and on their wings, they have feathers that are very lightweight that help them take off. And their whole body in general is very light. Their bones are hollow. They have a lot of air inside of them. And so that's what helps them to fly. But as anyone else is thinking about questions, that's actually a fantastic question that was just asked. And I would love to book another session with you all to talk just about ducks, because actually, I don't know if you can see behind me, if you have any clues, but ducks are my very favorite animals. So I would love to have a whole class just on ducks. Any other questions?
Claudia would like to know how you communicate with dogs.
How do you communicate with dogs? Well, that's a fantastic question, and I am still learning with my 8-month-old puppy how to communicate with her. But one thing that's really important to know is that dogs, as much as we love them, they aren't people, so they don't communicate the same as we do. And so when we communicate with them, we often use words, but we have to use fewer words. You know, I didn't actually tell my dog Daisy, Daisy, it's your bedtime. It's very late. It's now time to go to bed. I simply said, crate, because I've been training her that crate means go to bed, go to where you sleep. But also, dogs are very good with seeing motion. So often I use my hands to communicate with Daisy. I might say sit, or I might say come. And she also responds almost equally to my words or to my hands. So those are some of the ways that we can communicate with dogs. Is there another question?
Audrey would like to know how ducks breathe.
How ducks, was that breathe?
Yes.
Okay, ducks breathe through a part of their body called the nose, except it doesn't look anything like our nose. Their nose looks like a beak, or in a duck's case, we call it a bill. It's a flat part that comes out, and because I happen to be equipped with a lot of visuals on ducks. This one is not alive, but it is very much a real model of a duck in North America called the redhead. And ducks on their nose portion or their bill have nostrils. That's the opening on your nose that you also have, and that allows them to take in air, and it goes down a pipe into their lungs that look like, actually they look nothing like your lungs. They're very different, but they're still lungs. And that's how ducks breathe, through their nose, nostril, and eventually through their lungs. Excellent question. Actually, I'm just going to say it again. I could spend a whole class for 20 minutes or 2 hours just talking about birds and how they breathe. So if you want to book another session and find out more about how ducks breathe or birds breathe, feel very free to book another compassion education slot. Any other questions?
That sounds awesome. Diego would like to know why rattlesnakes have a rattle.
Why do rattlesnakes have a rattle? Well, that's a good question, because rattlesnakes are a kind of animal that are included in the vertebrates that we haven't talked very much about. We didn't talk very much about reptiles. Well, rattlesnakes at the end of their tail have some bands around their tail. They're made out of scales, but they look like bands, like rings that go around their tail. And they're able to shake them, and the vibrations that they make what we call a rattle sound. And rattlesnakes actually do that in order to kind of protect themselves. A lot of us know that rattlesnakes are venomous or poisonous, and they can cause harm to us if they bite us. But the rattle is actually a warning saying, please stay away from me. It's actually a defense mechanism, not an attacking mechanism. So they shake their rattle to say, please, I'm here. I'm venomous, I'm poisonous, leave me alone. But if we don't leave them alone, or another animal doesn't leave them alone, then their next line of defense is to bite, to strike with their teeth. So a rattle is actually there to kind of say, please leave me alone. So it's good, like the dog, we have to learn sometimes how animals communicate. You know, the rattlesnake will probably never listen to a command that we make with our words, but they're communicating with us through their rattle. Please leave me alone. Any other questions?
I think that's it for now.
Okay. Well, it's been lovely being with all of you. On behalf of Compassion Education, thank you very much for being with us. And like I mentioned, please feel very free to go back onto our website and look for more bookings, more slots that are available, not just with myself, but there's many other presenters out there who would love to share with you their knowledge about animals and the animals that they take care of and help protect. My personal bookings, I don't have any more at the moment, but that will change probably as of Friday. So if you'd like to have another session with me, you can go check on Friday to see when I'm booking. Otherwise, you can talk directly to Krista, and we'd be happy to work something out. All righty, so we're going to end here. Thank you all for being here, and hope you have a great rest of your day. You're very welcome. With you, class.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Fantastic. We'll see you all soon, hopefully.